Cool. That brings us to the step-by-step breakdown of the muscle up. So as you can see, there's kind of 5 general steps that we look at when doing the full muscle up. I'll read them through. I'll show you each one, and then we'll kind of continue to break it down as we go. So we're jumping to the bar, landing in that piked position with closed hips. We're swinging forward in front of the bar, pushing our chest forward, opening up our shoulders as much as we possibly can, really trying to hit that full range of motion in the front. Okay? From there, as we begin to swing backwards, you're going to drive your knees up to the ceiling, which closes your hip angle and really compacts your body position. This is important because this is our setup for power production. So we're trying to compact our body position, close our hips so that, guess what? In the next step, we can squeeze our butt, achieve that full hip extension, and produce the maximum amount of power that we possibly can, okay? From there, after we squeeze our butt, we're traveling vertically up towards the bar. We're rising. You're gonna hit that point of your ascent where you're as high in the air as you're ever gonna be. And then it is, as fast as possible, a sit-up, transitioning your shoulders, your wrists, your hands over the top of the bar in order to land in that front support, okay? So I know that's kind of hard to listen to without actually seeing a demo. So let's take a look at what each of those steps look like, starting from the jump, the swing, and then getting into the big parts. All right. So first and foremost, you're going to begin slightly behind the bar, okay? This is important, especially when we're trying to initiate that glide swing, because by starting behind the bar, you're going to catch behind the bar, and gravity is just going to allow you to swing forward. That's what we're trying to do, because we're going to use our glide swing and that momentum to our advantage. This isn't like kipping skills where we start directly underneath the bar. Oh no, we want to use a glide swing. So I'm going to jump to the bar, I'm going to lift my hips and my butt back behind me, and I'm going to pull my toes forward, landing in a piked position. Okay? One more time. Hips and butt back, toes forward. Boom. What you're not seeing me do is jump into that pike position, kind of rocketing forward. Here, right? We don't want to catch the bar underneath the bar. We want to catch in this position behind the bar. So you want to think of catching and trying to elevate yourself in the air already so that you get a nice big swing, okay? There's step number 1. Step number 2 is pushing your chest forward into a big open arch position. All right, so I kind of want to exaggerate my head and my chin so that you can see I am opening fully into that front swing. Shoulders are going to be as open as they possibly can. Chest is pushing forward, reaching that full range of motion in that position. This is important because as long as you are swinging forward as much as you possibly can, hitting that full arch position, we're going to be able to compact you into an equivalent tight position and produce maximum power. If you cut off your front swing, so you do an arch and we kind of rush it or we cut it off, you have dialed your swing back so much that you're going to be doing like a strict bar muscle up, okay? We want to swing, we want to move from one plane, the back, the front, to another, because that swing, that momentum is something that we just get to use to our advantage, all right? So don't cut off your front arch position. Move through as full of a range of motion as possible. Make sense so far? Excellent. Step number 3. Now we're gonna start driving the knees up to the ceiling, okay? Let me show you what it looks like first. So just coming back into that tight, tucked position where the knees come towards the ceiling, pulling the legs into your chest, all right? So remember, this is a really important step in position that's going to set us up to either produce a whole heck of a lot of power or not very much power, right? So what's happening is I'm swinging forward, opening up my chest, opening up my shoulders. I'm hitting my full range of motion. I want you to think of me standing right next to you when you do this, having your phone right out to the side, and you should be hanging in space in this position long enough that I can easily snap a photo of your big, beautiful arch position, okay? That's what I mean when I say don't rush this part. Pike, swing forward, full range of motion, and when you feel gravity starting to pull you backwards, that's when you drive your knees up to the ceiling, closing that hip angle, compacting your body, okay? Again, setting ourselves up for power production. And let's talk about that really quick. Oh, my kettlebell's over there. You stay there. I'm gonna go grab my kettlebell. Okay. Back. So we're not gonna talk about this as in depth yet. We're gonna get to that in just a couple of steps, okay? Especially when you talk about hip spar. But basically, I wanna reinforce the idea behind driving the knees up, closing the hip angle in this third step of the bar muscle up. So what we just said was that we were closing the hip angle so that we could squeeze our butt and produce power for our hips to bar, right? Guess what? You're going to be closing your hip angle and squeezing your butt in the bar muscle up the exact way you close your hip angle and squeeze your butt in a kettlebell swing, okay? It all transfers to everything that we do and every skill that you have to produce power for. So let's talk about this for a second. And let's all just pretend that this bell weighs like 200 pounds or something absolutely ridiculous that I have a really hard time swinging. So if you know you have a really heavy weight that you have to try to swing for your workout, are you going to be moving slow? Probably not. Are you going to be moving small? Probably not, right? Are you going to be moving loose, like just out of control? Probably not. Hopefully not, right? Kettlebell swings, you're always tight. You're always coming into bigger positions, right? The hinge forward and the hip extension, and you're moving fast. So the size of your positions matter, the speed of your positions matter, and how tight you move through those positions matter in kettlebell swings and bar muscle ups. So if you have a really heavy weight here, hinge the hips, you're gonna squeeze, right? Squeeze as hard as you possibly can, making it explosive, snappy, almost even jerky because you're being so incredibly tight. Well, guess what? That same hip closing to aggressive butt squeeze is the exact same thing we're setting ourselves up to do for our hips to bar after we pull the knees up closed. And now it's time to squeeze the butt, okay? That brings us to step number 4, the hip extension, aka the hips to bar. All right, so we've jumped to the bar, landed in a pike, swung forward into a big arch position, hit that full range of motion. As gravity's pulling us backwards, we drive the knees up, and now we're about to squeeze the butt, okay? All right, I'm gonna show you what it looks like, and then we're gonna look at the transition and talk about timing, okay? All right, jump into a pike, swing into an arch, be patient, full range of motion, lift the knees up, squeeze the butt. And you got yourself a hips to bar, okay? You should actually be trying to make contact, as you can see with my chalk lines, actual contact between your hips touching your bar, no matter where you are, what you're using. Because the goal behind the hips to bar is to get your body as close to the bar as possible before adding in that transition, so that our upper body, our shoulders, have a shorter distance they have to travel to land on top of the bar, okay? If we have a really weak hips to bar, right? My body stayed all the way down here, right? If I didn't use my butt at all, it'd be all the way down here. That is a really long way that my torso has to travel in order to get into a front support on top of the bar, right? I'm making it way harder than it needs to be. The less swing you have, the smaller the positions you move through, the more strict your muscle up will be. The more strict your muscle up is, the harder it's going to be. So you want to think of moving through big positions, move fast, and move tight to produce maximum power, okay? Let me show you hips to bar one more time. Whee! There. All right.
Somebody asked, do the arms stay straight?
Arms definitely stay straight, but we'll talk about that in point number 8, the transition, okay? So don't you worry about that. Not yet. Stay with me. Okay, so that brings us to adding in the transition, which is essentially like a sit-up to land on top of the bar, okay? But before we go in depth on transitions, we got to still talk about the first half of this movement where we just did the hips to bar, okay?